and welcome to part 11 of London Bound, our narrowboat journey along the Grand Union Canal towards and through central London. In this part we turn onto the Paddington Arm. That will take us all the way to Little Venice. A real mixture of scenery, countryside, urban areas, little bit of factory units along the canal. Very interesting as we pass over one of the major circular roads in London on an aqueduct. Very sadly, the pub has closed down since we visited it, the Black Horse at Greenford. But the area was being redeveloped at the time. So sit back, relax and enjoy the film. Thank you very much for watching again. Nicholson Waterways Guide Book 1, Grand Union, Oxford and the South East, shows the route of our journey today. Starting at Bridge 21, Bulls Bridge, which is a T-junction with the rest of the Grand Union Canal, we shall pass through the Southall area of London and the North Holt area of London. We stop for the night just after Bridge 15, and then the next day, after filling up with water, continue along the Paddington Arm, passing over the absolutely fascinating North Circular Aqueduct over the North Circular Road before finishing our journey at Bridge number 7, Old Oak Lane Bridge. So we're going through Bulls Bridge and continuing our journey into central London along the Paddington Arm of the Grand Union Canal, passing first of all through the Southall area of London. It's funny how a canal always feels a bit different when you go through a junction and turn a corner. We had stopped at Tesco just before continuing our journey onto the Paddington Arm, a very handy place, supermarket, to stock up with provisions. It is quite noticeable how the canals in this area are less used. When I say less used, I mean less travelling boats, but there certainly are some very, very interesting boats that we will pass, and here's one of them. A real amalgam of different items, really. You can see the basis of a narrowboat there, but it's like it's had a conservatory stuck on the side. Interspaced with green areas, there are factories and areas where there certainly is redevelopment. We're just passing one of those now. It always surprises me how we continue to build tall buildings in a city area. I wonder what all the office space will be used for. It continues to be a contour canal really in this area as we curve around, as we travel along. We're just about to go through Uxbridge Road Bridge here, and looking on the left there's some very interesting artwork, and there'll be more of that later on in this film. The canal is certainly quite wide. There's just another lovely green area. We pass the first of the boatyard's Willow Tree Marina, and this really is an odd looking boat. Looks as though it's made out of fiberglass, and what a weird design. There's the entrance to Willow Tree Marina. There's several places where I wished we had stopped, and this is perhaps one of them. Willow Tree Open Space. Having some dogs with us looked like a nice place to exercise them. The start of some flats here, but this is quite a nice design as the flats surround another marina. Where the water is still in the marina, you will notice that it is green in colour and is covered with duckweed. More of that will come as we journey into central London. It's funny as the duckweed, it kind of parts as you travel through it and then closes up behind you. I think it's caused by a lack of boats travelling along the canal. Each plant is only the size of a ladybird, but it multiplies rapidly in heat. We're just passing under Ruslip Road Bridge, number 18. Straight out into a green space again. And I always wonder what's in those pipe bridges, whether they're water or gas. I don't really know. Looking on your left again, there's some more artwork under Bridge 17, which is Kensington Road Bridge. These are in the form of mosaics, I believe. Very interesting. Very much like these signs that were dotted along the canal, kind of told you where you were, and there were also signs kind of pointing the way to the nearest tube station in certain locations. Western Avenue Bridge is quite busy with traffic. And again on the left there's some more artwork, although it looks as though it's seen better days and some of the walls have had to be repainted grey, I presume after graffiti was sprayed on or painted onto the walls. So we're just passing another place where you can get diesel, High Line Yachting. I didn't stop there myself, but it was quite handy to make a note of places where you can fill up with fuel. A lot of boats moored in this area. There was a tall post here, and on top of it was a cormorant, I think. Quite a few of the canal sections in this area are relatively straight, and we're now on one of those sections. Now in the previous video there'd been a tug moving a barge with a container on it, and it has been moved to this position here. I think it might be a place where workers can rest. Maybe there's a toilet inside it, I'm not sure. But later on we will pass a long section of canal where the towpath was being resurfaced, and there are several working boats. Now we're just coming up to Greenford Visitor Moorings. This is where the boats are moored on the right hand side. Unfortunately, as I passed the visitor moorings, none of the spaces were long enough for our boat. So I passed these boats, and then we turn a bend to the right and go underneath Bridge 15. In the evening we went to the Black Horse pub and did a quiz and met some relatives who live in London. Now the next morning we were in for a bit of a shock. We'd actually moored in the middle of a building site. There was building going off to our left hand side, and to the right hand side behind the fencing was more building. It was quite noisy waking up to all that banging and clattering. We decided to get water, so I reversed back through Bridge 15 and moored up at the water point. Might as well. It's always worth keeping your tank topped up, especially when you don't know where the next mooring point is, or will the tap be working at the next mooring point. You never can be quite sure. In fact, that little boat was moored on the water point and made it slightly difficult to moor up for water, and a hose pipe kind of only just reached our water tank. That's another of those signs dotted along the canal. I thought they were great. So here we are passing through the building site again after just going back through Bridge 15. Quite a big hole in the ground there. Presume they were going to build a very tall building. Now we stopped for a break because it started to rain, and it rained for some time, and I don't think it's a lot of fun when you don't have to, travelling along in the rain and getting wet. After the rain stopped, we continued our journey. We saw this on a few occasions, birds standing on discarded rubbish, and I think some birds even make their nests on discarded rubbish. A bit of a contrast here with one of the old original canal bridges. Now this is where the towpath was being refurbished and resurfaced. It was fenced off, and it went on for what seemed like a couple of miles or so. There's a wide beam working boat with a crane here, which I presume carries gravel or something similar to put down to make a new towpath. You can see how much all the work is involved. They seem to have dug the ground out a bit, put wooden boarding along the edge to mark where the new path will be, and it's quite a hive of activity with all the men working and the diggers travelling along the towpath. On the left hand side now is a golf course. Where they're refurbishing your towpath there, you can't moor unfortunately, so a couple of miles or so you can't moor your boat. Another longish straight section, and another close-up of the work involved in getting the towpath ready to be resurfaced. That's a very nice wide beam boat. house missing its roof, whether it's having a big loft conversion, I don't know. And another sign coming up here, Grand Union Canal, Paddington Arm. That gate you can see just hiding underneath the water there, it's like a stop gate that could be closed across. I don't know if they were put in during the last World War or earlier than that, but the idea is you can close the gates across the canal, so say the canal was damaged, you won't lose miles and miles and miles of water. The sign did say back at Bulls Bridge that Paddington was 13.5 miles away, so if you lost 13.5 miles of water or more, that's a tremendous amount of water to lose that could flood buildings and flood land and do a lot of damage. Here is another sign pointing out directions and distance to 3 railway stations. This area on the left is also being redeveloped. And you don't see many yachts on the canal, but that was one of them. Now we're just going round a bend to the right here. Quite noisy with the digger breaking up the rubble. And we're shortly going to come across the North Circular Aqueduct. It really is quite spectacular. Here it is, here's the aqueduct, and you've kind of got 2 directions of travel with an island in the middle. Arriving at the aqueduct and going over the North Circular Road, it was fascinating seeing all the cars below us travelling along the busy highway. And to the right hand side is quite a large hotel operated by Travelodge that I stayed in once many years ago. Some more interesting boats here. This one has got a bit of an extension on the back of it. And some more business units alongside the canal. Here you can see the start of the build-up of duckweed as we travel along the canal in various patches. So we're parting the duckweed as we travel along, and then it kind of, as I mentioned earlier, closes up behind the boat. Now here is another interesting thing, another lifeboat. bright orange in colour, kind of camouflaged by the green trees a little bit, and the heron looking a bit forlorn. And another interesting boat with a kind of Indian design on the side. Maybe I use the word interesting too often, but I think they are. I'm not sure if this is a current or disused restaurant boat here on the right hand side, with all the seating on top, and a small pub on our left. Pigeons playing around with a bit of rubbish, and is it a piece of bread or toast? And a coot balancing on some rubbish in the canal. As we continue our journey, the canal's looking a little less scenic, maybe. I don't really like graffiti, and it's dotted about in various places. Now here, a train went across above us that looked like it was old Pullman carriages. Maybe it was a day excursion or to somewhere, or maybe it was Hogwarts train itself. And lots of wizards would suddenly appear through the windows. More duckweed. Now this film will finish shortly, and I'd like to thank you very much for watching it. If you watched it right through to the end, give yourself a pat on the back, and please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when part 12 will be uploaded onto my YouTube channel. Thank you again so much for watching. Cheerio. See you in part 12.